Hi, welcome to T-Bad's Trucks and Stuff. This is the frame and a lot of the parts that go to my 1988 F-150 that I just finished repairing the cab on. And it's been sitting out here for about a year, maybe a little longer, all dismantled like this. And it had a tarp over top of it, but yeah, I'm getting back to her here, getting a look at it, and now I got to figure out what to do next, because it's half painted, and now that I'm looking at it, it's bent right here, bent out, and like twisted in a little bit right here, so it's gonna need some straightening. It's got a small crack in it over here, and a tree fell on it in the winter time. I don't really see too much damage from the tree. I'm assuming all that is because I've had this for about 15 years or so, and when I was in my early 20s, this was my Alberta mud bogging truck, so it did not have a very nice time growing up back then. So here's what we're looking at. This thing's all full of all kinds of my good parts I've got over the years. I once did the whole wiring loom on it. It's got a MSD Pro Billet ready to run distributor in there. This is the 351 94 roller block from my first 4x4 F-150 I ever had. And she's got a C6 automatic with a shift kit in it. My Speedo thing, hopefully not very much water didn't go down there. Over here is where the tree fell on it, and there's just some cracks in the paint a little bit, but it had a lot of stuff stacked on it, so I think the suspension absorbed that. We got rotted out cab hole there. And then here, look at this bend. Look at the big wonk in it. That side's not quite so bad, but you come to the back here, and it's supposed to be straight. It's not supposed to kick out over there like that. Same down here, it's supposed to be straight. So this side's kicked out, I don't know, half an inch or so. The other side's more like a full inch. These general grabbers are the first set of full brand new big tires I ever bought. And they've only been on here and are more worn down from burnouts than anything else. And over here, right there, that's the little crack in the frame going in towards that hole where the bolt box on. The box bolts on. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The frame on this truck, you can see up here is all black, but it all rusted through, and that is POR 15 paint, and I've never had any luck with that one. It rusts through every single time I've ever tried to use it, or it peels off really badly. And then the back here was all cleaned up really good, and then that's epoxy primer that was sprayed on there about a year ago. And you can see the only spots that have little rust is behind these brackets, where I could have either, I can't really clean it, or I should have just spent a little more time. But you can see epoxy primer actually holds up way better stuff. The fuel lines here have just been dirty dangling out there like that. So we'll have to give them a little cleaning. And the fuel system on this, being an 88, it has a high pressure pump up here and had low pressure pumps in the tanks, which I got different ones because they both rotted out, and the sending units also rotted out on them. So I'm going to be replacing them with high pressure pumps in the tank, and I'll probably leave the high pressure pump in the rail just for more fuel flow, better throttle response. I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is just get all the rest of this stuff off this frame. And we got to do some fixing there. Squish that in, bang that back up, maybe weld a little plate in it, I'm not sure. I'll come up with a good idea and make it nice and strong though. Let's use the good old mud truck to drag around some of them heavy parts. Well, that should do the job up here. Lots of room to get the cherry picker in here. We'll just pick all this out as one big piece. Minimal stuff to undo. Get that guy back out of here. Whoa, there you go. Yeah, we'll get a good look at what we got going on up in here. Sure does need a good cleaning. Other than being really dirty, this thing's loaded full of good parts. You got nice MSD wires. Could probably use a new coil pack. I think that's the old one that's been on there. It's swelled up at the edges over there. There's that MSD Pro Billet ready to run distributor. I had to get that when I swapped the roller cam motor to the older truck. It was having a problem with some damaged wires up here on the throttle position sensor and making the idle air control valve do some funny things, and she was idling at 3,000 one of the last times I had her going. Not sure if that's all the way fixed yet. The sensor's down there, so we'll address that while we have the motor out. I did a air pump smog thing delete on this, and now it's got big bolts plugging them holes where that smog stuff used to be attached to the head. We just welded a little cap on that guy. Looks like a square cap on a round tube. Tranny pan leaks. It's got a C-clamp on it there. think it had a couple broken bolts in it if I remember correctly. Those wires, that's a neutral safety switch. Pretty sure that I just looped it to a closed loop, or yeah, closed loop, so it starts whenever the key can turn now. And the reverse lights, they're on a manual switch. We got an oil cooler on this one. I think it comes on the Arrow Nose 351s or towing package trucks. This is the truck that I wired on this little fuse panel box here to have my relay for my computer and my fuel pump in there, instead of them dirty dangling over here under that little cap like they used to. The rad support in here, it's still hanging on. It's the original one from 1988. I think it does have, over there, it's got some spots that were rusted through, but with lots of paint and then some kind of rust protection or prevention oil kind of stuff, once this job's all done, it'll last a while longer. Here's a nice split in the paint. That's right where the tree hit on it. Must have did that. Look how thick it is, eh? We'll have to grind that all the way till we get to the solid material and blend it back in. It's got a custom made heavy duty drive shaft in here from when I switched it from a straight 6 manual to a V8 automatic. Looks like the brake line for the back of the truck's all in a big ball there, so I'm assuming we're gonna need to do a little repairing on that. She's got the nice fat rad in there with a custom block off plug in that hose. Down here on my lift kit, I added in this brace because the tires will rub on your radius arm right there, and that adds to why my frame rails are twisted out. Over on this side, it's got the 87.5 and 88 only top hat style hub. Not very fond of them because the wheel bearings don't adjust well with these big tires, and there's not any other parts for it. Like, you have to find a factory top hat or goofy parts for it just for this one kind of year. On this side, it's got the more normal style with a worn locker or lockout hub, sorry. But it's got that from one of the last times I was driving it. I blew out that universal joint and knocked the ends off the stub shafts and everything. So I converted it then, and I'll make the other side match when we're ripping everything apart and getting it back together for this assembly. It's hard to tell, but this truck does have the red polyurethane bushings in everywhere that it can have one replaced. These radius arm ones, they're the red polyurethane ones too. They've just been painted a couple times and are a little bit used up. It's hard to tell that they were used to be a nice bushing. You can see my idle air control valve was unplugged because it was acting up, making it idle all weird and getting stuck as high as 3,000 RPM. Well, that's going to do it for today. But make sure you check back in and see how I make out repairing these bends in the frame, patching up the little areas like the cab mount holes and just whatever else we're gonna need to get this 88 F-150 back up to being a nice driving truck. It's already in my name and insured and everything, ready to go, so now's the time. Make it work good and proper, just like it's supposed to, and we'll get many years of driving out of this thing. So, see you later.